Trauma and Triggers contains explicit content. Please check the show notes for details.
Welcome to Trauma and Triggers. I'm Sabrina.
And I'm Audrey.
And today we are talking about cults.
Yes.
I'm very excited. Cults have been fascinating me for a long time.
Yeah. We've been wanting to talk about this topic for a minute.
Yeah.
We find cults very interesting.
Yeah.
As most people do. I feel like most people are fascinated by the concept of cults.
Yeah, because it's like, why did a bunch of you group up and decide to believe wholeheartedly in this
some
thing?
People, like, it is very interesting to, like, watch back documentaries where it's, like, you listen to the members, and some of the members are really, like, I didn't fully believe in it, but having, like, a community of like-minded individuals was so, like, it was such a good benefit that they stuck with it for a while.
Yeah. There's definitely, like, especially in really big cults, like a cult like Scientology has 40,000 members.
Yeah.
Not every single member is diehard in it for the Thetans and Xenu and all that jazz. There's, in the bigger cults, you definitely see, like, the close knit group in the center is the group that has the most, like, diehard belief in it. And I feel like, you know, some of the cults we'll talk about today, some of the leaders actually believe the shit they're selling.
Yeah.
Not all of them.
I agree.
And that's just based off of intuition. Like, I don't have really anything concrete, but I definitely feel like there's some of them that we're going to talk about where I'm like, this man believed.
There's a lot of people that do believe that they are better than everyone else.
Yeah.
For a number of reasons.
Yeah.
And they have fully convinced themselves of that.
Mm-hmm.
And are charismatic enough to convince everyone else of that.
Yeah.
But no, I do think that, like, one of the things I do understand about cults, because, like, if you think about it from, like, the end of a cult and, like, the practices that they have, why would anybody join that? Like, nobody's joining that, right?
Mm-hmm.
At the beginning, I feel like most cults are created with a sense of community and, like, a few simple practices that involve like-minded individuals. And I get that. It's a club at that point.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a little club.
And it's in a way, it's what everybody wants.
Right.
We all want a community of like-minded individuals.
Right. And it's like sometimes even at the beginning, there's some weird, like, theories or practices or whatever. I'm not going to say that that's not true. But it's not like we haven't full out drunk the Kool-Aid yet.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I do think that if I think about it from that point of view, it's easier for me to understand.
Yeah. But at some point, it is like, look around at what's happening,
Please,
around you,
please.
And please realize that something is not right. But there's this concept in cults and in a lot of things of, like, buying in. Like, you get to this point where you've spent a lot of time, emotional energy, and in a lot of cases money, and you're like, well, if I don't believe in this, I wasted my time and money.
Right. Yeah.
So I gotta, which isn't true.
No, but I do understand why that is, like, a thing.
Yeah.
Because it definitely, I wouldn't be happy about realizing, I think, going through the process of, like, oh, what I've believed in for the last, like, certain amount of time is obviously not true anymore. And these people are just sick and depraved.
Yeah, they're lying to me. And it's hard to see the people that you view like family or like very close to as liars and manipulators. But I feel like we're getting ahead of ourselves just a little bit. I wanted to start off with like kind of clearly defining what a cult is and some elements of cults. I feel like, you know, people just simplify it, and a lot of people will say that every organized religion is a cult and like sororities are a cult. You know? But this is from the Tennessean. It's What Makes a Cult a Cult. And the author is interviewing this cult expert called, or named, Yanya Lalick. And she's a professor of sociology at the California State University. So she says there's like 4 elements that she kind of identifies as what makes a cult a cult. The first thing is a charismatic leader. Every cult is going to have a person that is the charismatic leader. And charisma can look different in different people.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're weird Heaven's Gate people where they're like very skinny and alien looking, and then sometimes they're like weird, not really. Audrey and I were talking about this before the podcast, but there's not a sexy cult leader. There's so many sex cults, but no sexy cult leaders.
Yeah. And like I have seen, there's been like a few that I'm like, okay, they're not like unattractive, you know?
Yeah.
But for the most part, I feel like a majority of specifically sex cults, where it's like, this is just an old man.
Yeah.
Or this is just like, this guy could have easily become an incel if y'all had just left him alone.
Yeah, the Bikram yoga cult a little while ago, that guy is just like a middle-aged, short, pot-bellied Indian dude.
Yeah.
And he was sleeping with all those bitches.
Yeah.
And it was like, what the fuck? This man, the Nexium guy, he's like ugly.
He's ugly.
He's just ugly. I don't say that about a lot of people. I'm always like, everyone has their own unique beauty, blah, blah, blah. But if you're a nasty cult leader, I'm going to call you ugly.
I feel like at some point it's like, if a person is ugly both inside and out, I will offend them and their physical properties.
Yeah, I'll just do it.
I don't care.
The second thing is a transcendent belief system. So the idea of that is the belief system is somehow going to get you to a better place, make you a better person. There's going to be a change that happens because of this belief system. She also calls it like the recipe for change. You're struggling in your life. You just need to get your thetons worked out. Scientology. The third aspect is systems of control. So once they get you reeled in by this charismatic guy and the promise of change, slowly there's more and more control put on you as you get further and further through the group. You've got to dress a certain way, you got to eat a certain way, you got to look a certain way, you have to give a certain amount of money, whatever it is. More and more control is taken over in your life. There's a lot of ostracizing you from your former community and stuff like that. The fourth element she calls systems of influence. It is basically peer pressure. So the older members of the group will model for the new members how you're supposed to behave. And before you know it, you're the older member showing the newer members how to behave. So it's a very interesting, because it's like a lot of these cults, there's elements of them where it's like, this is fine, you know?
Yeah.
And then it just spirals out of control. And I think when you kind of try to erase people of their individuality and their own perspective and take control over their lives, that's when the bad comes in, you know?
Yeah. So okay. Yep. All right, I get it.
Jack, cut that.
No, I'm just thinking like I think it's interesting that erasing individuality is where you draw the line. Like it's not the indoctrination and
Well, I think indoctrination is where, like, indoctrinating you to something erases your individuality to some extent.
a little bit. Yeah.
I mean, also, if you're a cult that's, like, out there killing bitches, even, like,
Yeah.
you're already starting at a bad place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um
I think what changes a cult from a belief system is trying to change an individual into something completely different for your own personal gain or for the personal gain of the small elite members of the cult.
yeah. Okay. I agree. We're on the same page. I just got confused.
Yeah. I could understand how it'd be like, so the problem with cults is they
Yeah.
don't allow for self-expression.
Yeah.
I get that.
It's just like, hey. Oh God. Yeah. So is that what makes a cult a cult? Are we finished with that part?
Yeah, the four things that make a cult a cult.
The 4 stages.
Yeah, the 4 stages of cult. I keep wanting to say cunt. Like, it keeps almost slipping
Don't do
out
that.
as cunt.
It's not even the right letters.
It's almost the right letter.
Yeah.
The L just needs to be an N.
Yeah. What makes a cunt a cunt?
Cunts are charismatic.
We sure are. So anyways, who's most susceptible? I'm gonna start off with the leader portion of this. So leaders of cults are very charismatic, like we talked about, and manipulative more often than not. I do feel like like we talked about, there are some like cult leaders where I'm like, I'm not sure that they were really. Can it be manipulation if they believe what they're saying?
I don't know. And that's what makes it so interesting is even though some of these cults are so well documented, it's like, actually what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
A lot of the times.
Can a cult member take one for the team and donate your body to science?
We
want to know what's going on.
Yeah. Shout out to all our cult members listening.
So according to cult expert Rachel Bernstein,
Sorry. It's supposed to be Rachel Bernstein, and I just...
Rachel Bernstein. I really thought
Rachel Bernstein is the...
I deadass just thought that was her last name.
Yeah, I can understand.
So cult expert Rachel Bernstein. Leaders are often malignant narcissists. This is a psychological disorder in which a person has an inflated sense of self-worth, a need for admiration, and a disregard for others.
Yeah, I did want to say that, like, malignant narcissist is not a diagnosis you can get from the, like, DSM-5 or something like that. It's just, like...
Yeah. Narcissistic personality disorder.
Yeah.
And there's like, I've recently been looking into this because there's like multiple different categories of narcissism, which I find really fascinating because it makes a lot more sense once you break it down. into being like, oh, this person's a narcissist, but it's like they don't seem obsessed with themselves, you know? So I think that's fun to learn about. But yeah, no, malignant narcissists are classic narcissists.
Yeah.
They're generally what you think of when you think of a narcissist. Obsessed with themselves and need others to be obsessed with them as well.
Yeah. Sometimes I have the feeling with these cult leaders that the selling point of the cult, whether it's true or not, doesn't even necessarily matter to them. You know, like all that matters is the admiration.
Yeah. I think I really do I just want to get into the brains of some of these people. I really do think at some point it's like the rules and the regulation get so bad to the point where it's like, is this a game? Like, are we just like climbing the ladder to see how like what's the worst thing we can do and get away with?
Yeah. How much power can we get?
Yeah. And I know like sometimes, well, a lot of times the like controls that are placed on the members are intended to like keep the cult as one. It's to keep members from breaking away or to like indoctrinate more people. So like I know that, but it's also like y'all could have just stayed a little commune. Like you don't need the admiration of the world. Like, can't you have the admiration of like 10 people? I don't.
Yeah. It's always interesting to see like that point where the cult becomes like they're living in their own world and they have like this groupthink. So they genuinely think that they can just do whatever they want.
Yeah.
You know, they can hurt people, they can kill people, whatever they want because their rules matter than the rules of the world. It's so fascinating. Like, how do you get to that point? This episode is just us fascinated by cults.
Yeah. So there's a few things that make an individual more susceptible to like recruitment by cults. So generally a lot of the things that are the opposite of a narcissist. So like ego weakness, people who are emotionally vulnerable or have like low self-worth are more likely. People who are likely to have dissociative states, have experienced a lot of trauma. People don't have support systems or like consistent familial patterns. I don't know, relations patterns. Inadequate means of dealing with I'm not saying that sentence. Never mind. I'm reading this off of a research article called Factors Related to Susceptibility and Recruitment by Cults. And this guy uses a lot of big words. Which is fine, but I don't know what the big words mean. And I know that most people probably also won't know what the big words mean.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to say them. But yeah, people who have a history of child abuse or neglect, again, going back to that, like a lot of people with trauma experience, lower self-worth, dissociative states, lack of support systems, exposure to eccentric family patterns. That's an interesting one.
Yeah, what does that mean? What is an eccentric family pattern?
I think that it's like people who were I don't know how to explain that. It's like I'm trying to think about it in the concept of like if a family was actually cult-like.
Like if you have someone in your family who's like a big conspiracy theorist or something like that, like eccentric people
and like
in your family.
You're a child, so you're generally forced to kind of like adhere to
It seems
what they
normal
believe
to you.
right, are more likely to just, you know, join a cult because it's not that weird.
Yeah.
So that's also a factor. Proclivities towards abuse of controlled substances.
I feel like you see that a lot in like the Charles Manson, the Manson family type cults.
I feel like that's present in a lot of cults.
Yeah, but a lot
There's
of
a lot of psychedelics and
yeah.
and like weed in most cults.
Yeah, a lot of LSD and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Haven't heard of any cocaine cults. I feel like they're missing an opportunity there with the alliteration.
I feel like cocaine cults would die out quick. Both literally and figuratively.
Yeah, if you're dedicated to cocaine, I don't know. It's not going to last long.
I do feel like if a leader of a cocaine cult gives off just a few rules and expectations, people are quick to anger on cocaine.
Yeah, there is something like, I don't have a lot of experience with cocaine. I have no experience with cocaine. Only, you know, academic knowledge about it. I feel like a drug like cocaine, someone's not necessarily as malleable. They're just like fucking on cocaine, going crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whereas
Like,
if you're on
my
LSD,
mind isn't altered. I'm not like thinking about the transcendence of humanity, but
Right.
I will, if there's a gun nearby and you tell me I have to shave my head or you're gonna beat me,
I'll blow your head off.
you're gone. You're finished.
You're done. So.
You know?
Yeah.
Like that's where my
It's
head's
too
at
volatile.
with the the coke, that it just won't work, bud.
Yeah.
But like a lot of the like, you know, not earthy, but like psychedelic drugs make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Like that makes sense within a cult.
Yeah, it plays into the transcendent philosophy, or like a cult has to have some sort of like, this is going to change your life. You get a lot of feelings on psychedelics of like, change is about to happen, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
So there's only a few more, but unmanageable and debilitating situational stress and crisis. I'm just gonna link along the next one. Intolerable socioeconomic conditions. And I feel like both of those are really, I see happen a lot within cults, where it's like people, again, where like the cults kind of start out very like, there's not a lot of rules, there's not a lot of regulations, but it's an opening to have more access to like a place that's consistent, and like people around you.
stability.
Yeah. Which a lot of people don't have and need, and that's why they join them. And like intolerable socioeconomic conditions. If you join a commune, congrats, you have a place to live.
Yeah, and you'll probably have like food and clothes
Yeah.
taken care of.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like there's probably people who join cults just for, you know, just for the free ride, just for a place to stay.
But like those are the people that are so easy to manipulate.
Yeah.
Because you're giving them like, yeah, you know, I can joke about like it's for the free ride, but you're giving them a more manageable life. You're giving them so many things that they haven't had before, where they'll just listen and do whatever you want them to do.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, but you know.
Well, with that, us knowing what a cult is, who leads them and who joins them, let's get into my favorite cults. These aren't actually my favorite cults. These were just like a fun sampling of cults.
Yeah.
I felt like.
I don't feel like any of the ones I wrote down, like, I don't have a favorite cult. I don't have one that I'm, like, obsessed with.
Yeah.
But I looked through a list and found the ones that I was most interested in learning about.
I guess most interested. I don't like any of these cults. I don't think they did
They're all
good
terrible.
work or anything like
Yeah.
that. It's just fascinating. It's just like, why did this happen? So my first one is Heaven's Gate. I feel like the vibe of Heaven's Gate is very like new age Christian aliens. And I love an aliens cult. I love an aliens cult. I love the show on the History Channel, Ancient Aliens. Amazing. It's like this idea, specifically on Ancient Aliens, that, humans were always dumb and incapable until we got electricity. So how did we make these amazing things? Aliens, I love that identity.
That's so wild.
It's hilarious.
That's so wild.
It is borderline racist sometimes too.
I can imagine that could happen. But I do think it's hilarious that anyone would believe that humans are so dumb that anything we've made couldn't have possibly been done by our own hands.
Yeah, and like I work construction now, and typically when you want to get the most precision, you're actually working with like basic hand tools.
Yeah.
You're not, because power tools will just like fucking go crazy. Not really. They don't. But
just run around with
more...
a staple gun. It's just firing everywhere.
So I always think that's interesting when people are like, humans can't make such a precise line without laser technology. And it's like, yes, the fuck we can, bitch. Shut up.
We have rulers.
Shut the fuck up right now. But anyway, this isn't about ancient aliens. This is about Heaven's Gate. Heaven's Gate was founded by these two people, Bonnie Nettles and Marshall Applewhite.
Applewhite is a very interesting last name.
You're going to love these next names. So Bonnie Nettles was known as T, and Marshall Applewhite was known as Doe.
Doe, a deer.
Yeah, just like that. By, their group. They met in 1972, and they just became very close very quickly. As far as we know, they were never like romantic or sexual with one another. They just kind of became really close friends. She was married at the time she met him, and he I believe was in like the Baptist church community. But they met in 72 and just went on a spiritual journey together and just decided that they were witnesses of the revelation, i.e. the end times book in the Bible. Throughout the 70s, they gathered hundreds of followers, with a smaller core group of followers, and this core group followed a strict set of rules intended to get them to the next level, also called the evolutionary level above human. Now, what the fuck is happening? Like, at some point you gotta look around and be like, what are we talking about right now?
That's really, like, the end of day cults really just confuse the fuck out of me.
Have you ever met an end of dayer?
No, I haven't.
Oh, God bless them.
But it's just so bizarre to me because we've already had this conversation on the podcast. I'm very much not like, I don't want to talk about, the world ending or science. I don't care.
Ghosts.
I don't want to know about how it happens or what happens. I very much live on the field of thinking of, if the world's going to end, I'm going to die doing what I was doing the day before.
Yeah.
I'm not out to survive the apocalypse.
Yeah.
I don't want to be alive when that happens. kill me off first.
Yeah.
Like, if zombies take over the world,
Bye.
I'm walking outside the house.
I'm gonna get eaten. It is what it is.
It is what it is. I don't want to be a part of that. And the same thing for any other kind of like end of day. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Care. If I die, I die. That's the philosophy of everyday life. You could die in multiple ways.
Yeah, it's so much energy that you're putting in something but they're like convinced that it's real.
Yeah.
Like absolutely convinced that it's real. Anyway, so this is a quote from their website that I think is still up, the Heaven's Gate website. To be eligible for the membership in the next level, humans would have to shed every attachment to the planet. This means nothing fun ever. So, no family, no friends, no sex, no drugs, no alcohol, basic food diet. Like, I'm pretty sure they just ate like fucking oatmeal. Just oatmeal. Once a day they had some oatmeal and water.
I want to say the aliens aren't eating oatmeal. They're not.
You know what the aliens are eating according to them? Sunshine.
You know,
so, but right now they're the evolutionary level below human, or they're human, you know, so they have to eat something. So they're just going to eat some oatmeal. Did I mention they're not allowed to have their gender or their birth name or money or stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
You didn't, but you did now. So congrats.
So they all had like the T-Do, Simo Fa, Losido names. Just like one syllable consonant vowel names. Like they all had them. The gender thing was crazy. There's rumors that some of them did like castrate themselves. And the no sex thing to me is crazy because so many cults use sex as like a power thing, a selling point.
Yeah.
They literally a recruitment tool. So it's just like, what's up with this no sex cult?
This is the one where I feel like they just all really believed what they were talking about.
Yeah.
Because I think that to an extent, I really do feel like if you're using, you know, sex, drugs, what have you, to manipulate people into your cult, you don't really believe what's going on. You don't care. You don't want people who are actually like invested in your beliefs. You want anybody. You want anyone who's going to be, you know, interested in what you're providing for them.
Yeah.
Whereas this, they didn't get anything. They got nothing.
They got their dicks chopped off, so I guess that's nice.
So it's like, all right, I really do. I don't think that anybody would live this life without truly believing what they're being told.
Right, that's what I feel. I do feel like, you know, well, I'll just say it. So in 1985, Bonnie Nettles, Ty, died of cancer. And the cult was motherfucking shook because they all believed that aliens were going to come and take them up in their spaceship while they were alive.
Yeah.
And I gotta speak to the branding committee with these cults, because it's like, stop saying that the lead guy is not going to die.
Yeah.
We know he's going to die.
It's also there. I'm going to talk about a cult where she just didn't explain anything about what ascendance was going to look like for her.
Yeah.
She didn't say whether or not death was a thing or, you know, where she's going to go once she dies.
And that's smart.
It's smart, but you'll hear what I have to say about it when I talk about my cult.
So when she died, they were all kind of like, what the fuck is going on? They lost members, but, you know, a lot of the core members stayed. But Marshall Applewhite, Mr. Doe, did some quick improv and came up with a new plan. So in 1997, this is 85. So he's like, in 1997, the comet Haley Bopp is going to take us home. And we just got to kill ourselves to get there. And they did. March 26, 1997, the San Diego County Sheriff's Department discovered the bodies of 39 members of the Heaven's Gate community.
That's so wild. It's wild to me that they stuck around for another 12 years after they all were questioning their beliefs.
Yeah, not all of them stuck around.
I know.
Some
there was
people
only
did.
39 members that died, and there were, what, like 40?
There was, at one point, they had, like, you know, I think it was like 300 followers, something in there.
Okay. Yeah.
Not crazy like Scientology level,
Yeah.
but
like,
you know,
quite a few.
that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people shaving their head. I do want to say I didn't explain what they look like, but they were like, they all look like the alien emoji, bald heads, sunken in cheekbones. They wear like
oatmeal.
all white. Yeah. It's just like, I think they shave their eyebrows too. I'm not sure though.
I want to say that I think they should have dressed up like flowers and attempted photosynthesis.
Yeah, bitch, what eats the sun better than a plant? Like,
I think that's what they should
try
have tried
that
to do.
out instead of the fucking comet. So my next cult is Scientology. The reason that this cult is so fascinating to me is I believe it's the most successful, biggest cult. You know, there might be other ones out there, but that's my belief. An estimated 40,000 members. They literally own Clearwater, Florida. Their members are on the government there. Like, it's a whole thing. They have their own laws in Clearwater, Florida that are enforced by Scientology and stuff like that. It's like, it's fucking crazy, dog. So first I just want to read from their website about what they say they are. And then I'll get into the tea. So this is Scientology.org. Also, they're opening a Scientology building in Paris, and they were like, Paris, a beautiful place with the Eiffel Tower, the Louvre, and now our Scientology building. And I'm like, bitch, shut up. Do not compare yourself to the fucking Eiffel Tower and the Louvre. Shut the hell up.
Speaking of shut the hell up, this is editing Sabrina. Unfortunately, there's going to be annoying, nasty, doo-doo, stinky lawn mowing in the background. And I know you listen to our podcast because of our amazing audio, but unfortunately, we cannot provide that for you today. Sorry, guys. I hope you still enjoy the show. Let's get back to it.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. So, from the website, what is Scientology? Developed by L. Ron Hubbard, Scientology is a religion that offers a precise path leading to a complete and certain understanding of one's true spiritual nature and one's relationship to self, family groups, mankind, all life forms, the material universe, the spiritual universe, and the supreme being.
Okay.
The ultimate goal of Scientology is true spiritual enlightenment and freedom for all. And that's interesting, because we'll get into it. So, this fucking guy, L. Ron Hubbard, basically writes sci-fi books in 1950. They're basically, like, alien bullshit sci-fi books in 1950. There's this alien in them called Xenu, and there's these things called Thetan levels, and the Thetan levels give you more and more knowledge, and members of Scientology have to spend, $500,000 to get to the next Satan level to get more knowledge. Anyway, did I mention the books were called the Dianetics? Did I mention that? His books?
No.
Okay. So, it's crazy because I feel like it just started out with this guy just writing these books. And then he was like, these books are actually true. This is real life. And starts a cult. And he does the classic, I'm a messiah figure. He doesn't say messiah. I don't care what he says. It's like, it doesn't stick in my head because it's all sci-fi mumbo jumbo. But the key things they believe in are reincarnation, work, and that traumatic events cause problems called engrams in the mind. And these engrams can only be removed through an activity called auditing. A fee is charged for each session of auditing. Once an auditor deems an individual free of engrams, typically after several years, they are given the status of clear. So an auditing session is basically you're hooked up to this bullshit machine that's like a lie detector. It's crazy. It's crazy the words that I'm saying. I can't even fucking believe it's real what I'm saying.
I
It's
wish more
bullshit.
people tried therapy.
Exactly. Mama, you don't have enough money for therapy, but you can give these people $1 million over the course of your lifetime. So yeah, it's like a bullshit machine, and like this auditor essentially asks these deeply personal questions about like sexual encounters, blah blah blah, traumatic events, and gets dirt on you in these auditing sessions and keeps a record of this dirt on you. And then that dirt is used later to manipulate you into staying. They did this in the 60s and 70s with a lot of famous people.
Yeah.
They did it with John motherfucking Travolta. And one of the things he said in his sessions was that he was having same-sex attraction.
Mm.
And they used that against him and told him, you gotta stay in Scientology.
Yeah.
Anyway.
They did it. What's his name?
Thrilling content.
Forrest Gump.
Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks. He's a part of Scientology, isn't he?
I think so, yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
I have a list of famous people who are in Scientology.
Okay.
I'll look over it. Okay, so we were talking about engrams and how an auditor gives you the status of clear when they feel like you're clear. Blah, blah, blah. After attaining the clear status, you can then take part in operating Thetan levels, which require further payments. The operating Thetan texts are kept secret from most followers. They are revealed only after adherents have typically given hundreds of thousands of dollars to the Scientology organization. Despite its efforts to maintain the secrecy of the texts, they are freely available on various websites, including at the media organization WikiLeaks.
That's so hilarious. Y'all spent hundreds of thousands of dollars, and we all getting this shit for free
on WikiLeaks. Okay. So these texts say past lives took place in extraterrestrial cultures. They involve an alien called Xenu, described as a planetary ruler 70 billion years ago, who brought billions of aliens to Earth and killed them with thermonuclear weapons. Despite being kept a secret from most followers, this forms the central mythological framework of Scientology's bullshit.
Ostensible
storyology. These aspects have become the subject of popular ridicule. So there was an episode of
soterology.
I think The Simpsons that made fun of Scientology, and it was just quoting the Thetan levels.
Yeah.
icons.
Dude,
Legends.
The Simpsons spent...
Was it The Simpsons?
They spent too much time predicting world events.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's actually insane.
Yeah, it was in 1998, they, The Simpsons did a cult episode, and in the episode they just, like, read one of the Thetan levels, and I think they flashed the words on the screen where it's like, we didn't make this up, this is literally Scientology. Because there were so many people, like, in Hollywood who were Scientologists.
Yeah.
So
it's like, somebody please pay attention to what's going on.
Right. So anyway, when L. Ron Hubbard died in 1986, the cult faced the same issues that Heaven's Gate faced, i.e., this bitch was never supposed to die. So there's this guy, David Miscavige, and he grew up in Scientology. So I don't really know if this bitch believes in Scientology or not. He's crazy. He took Scientology to a whole different level. Like, some of the stuff they were doing with, like, getting dirt on people, getting dirt on stars and stuff like that, originates from David Miscavige before he was the leader of Scientology. So, this guy sucks. There's, like, multiple claims of extreme physical violence. His wife, Shelley Miscavige, has not been seen since 2007.
That's wild.
And, you know, I don't remember exactly, but essentially police were saying their hands are kind of tied because everyone that she associated with, i.e. the members of the cult, are saying that she's fine and alive. But no one's seen her. And, you know, obviously the rumor is he killed the bitch because she wanted to leave.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of really shady stuff like that. Another shady thing is they're involved with, you know, the troubled teen industry. They do this thing where they have this thing called attacking the attacker, where they have so many members that they can just, like, neg people if people try to leave or anything like that, or they'll have their members file court cases against someone so that person gets tied up in court and can't file their own court case against Scientology. So they have so many members and so much power and money in that sense that they can stop the law, like halt justice.
So insane.
Being done. And, you know, there's only been like one or two high level members of Scientology that have left. I forget his name. It's Mike something. He's an Australian guy. And, you know, he talks about a lot of stuff. Like, he at one time spoke out against Miscavige and literally got thrown into like a pit. It was like a trapdoor in the ground after Miscavige punched him a bunch. Crazy.
It's so insane because they brand themselves as, like, you know, the, like, Scientology buildings and, like, clean and white and, like,
yeah,
that kind of stuff. And then when you talk about the practices of them, I'm like, I am legitimately imagining, like, a group of people running around a circle and, like, around a fire or some shit in the woods.
Yeah, it's
like crazy. A pit in the ground. What do you mean a pit in the ground?
Yeah, I don't.
Did they kidnap you? Was there a hood involved? Like, what's going on?
It's crazy. And, like, if your family is in Scientology and you leave Scientology, no one in your family is allowed to talk to you anymore. Yeah. Like, stuff like that. Which is, like, you know, not as bad as physical violence, but it's still, like...
That's typical for cults, though.
Typical cult behavior. So when Miscavige took over, I think I mentioned change in dynamics and stuff like that, it became more corporate. It became more about how do we get this to be like a worldwide thing, and he succeeded. He made it a goal to become tax exempt, and in 1992 he did. He did this by placing members of Scientology in the IRS. He was like, you go be an IRS agent until, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, there was either like dirt he had on the IRS, or there was just someone in the IRS who could just pass and be like, yeah, you guys get tax exempt status. Wink, wink. He made it a goal to become like more popular, get positive media coverage, and he did that by getting a bunch of famous people to become Scientologists. The most famous of which is Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise and David Miscavige are best friends. There's literally pictures of them regularly in the press. It's fucking my shit up. Okay, so current celebrity Scientologists include, I'm going to try to name names that you know. I already said Tom Cruise, Kirstie Alley, Danny Masterson. So Danny Masterson played Hyde on That 70s Show, and he just recently had the sexual assault cases and allegations and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And Scientology was tied into that because they were discovered to have been paying people off and putting pressure on the victims to stay quiet. So there's a lot of like, you scratch my back, I scratch yours, you can go sexually assault people and we'll just keep it hush hush if you're good faced for Scientology. Elizabeth Moss is a Scientologist. John Travolta, already mentioned John Travolta. Yeah, there's just a lot of names. There's some former Scientologists, Katie Holmes, Laura Prepon, Leah Remini, who are actors and actresses and just in the Hollywood circle.
Bro, Beck is a former Scientologist.
Yeah.
I'm not like, I don't really watch movies. So like a lot of the like actors and stuff like that I'm not getting, but oh my god, this guy Antonio Giovanni Ribisi.
Yeah.
I think I watched Sneaky Pete. I also feel like he looks very similar to the guy who plays one of the main characters in Succession, but I'm not sure that they're the same person. They just look really similar.
I think that is him.
It doesn't say that that's what he's on, but like they look like it's
identical.
Huh.
But yeah, there are other people than the ones that are on this list.
Hold on. Okay, Jack, I apologize, but I need a second. I should have asked Sabrina before we started this podcast what this was. But now I can't let it go. I need a minute. We're pausing.
Pause.
Fucking Elizabeth Moss.
Yeah, bitch. Fucking Lisa Marie Presley, the daughter of Elvis Presley. She's a former one, but
I'm ignoring that right now because I was previously a little obsessed with Elizabeth Moss.
Oh yeah, me too.
She's
an amazing actress.
She's an amazing actress. What the fuck? That's so insane. I appreciate that they added pictures. That was a very smart choice for them to make. I don't think I know any of the other ones. None of these are looking familiar. Jennifer Elfman looks familiar, but I don't know why. She's also just a white blonde lady, so who knows?
Yeah, she does look really familiar.
This is so wild. Katie Holmes. I know you said some of these names, but I was so distracted by some of the other people.
So, yeah, like, a lot of the celebrity Scientologists don't have the same level of information that, like, the upper people have, you know?
A lot of the... okay, so, like, the celebrities aren't really...
Yeah, they're kind of just, like, you know...
They're there to
They just pay to get audited.
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
and work through their trauma, and then they can't leave because they've been audited and they're famous.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I get that, I know that, but it's also just like it's so wild to actually see. It's also very like the fact that Laura and Danny is on here is very like what was going on in that 70s show.
Yeah.
You know?
I wonder if Danny brought her into it, or if she brought him into it, or what was going on there. But yeah, fucking, that's so crazy.
Jeffrey Tambor, I know him too. Another creepy white guy. Huh, wild. Tom Hanks isn't on here though, so maybe I was wrong about that, and I got him confused with Cruise.
Yeah.
I don't know for sure. I really do feel like I saw something about Tom Hanks being involved, but I don't know.
It doesn't seem like he is. It doesn't seem like Tom Hanks is.
Okay. That's my bad.
But also, so Leah Remini, who she's a fairly popular actress, she was in like King of Queens and stuff like that. She said that, she grew up in Scientology, and Scientology likes to support the kids who grow up in Scientology to become celebrities and stuff like that. So some of these people may have grown up in Scientology.
That's so crazy. When did it start again? It started in like...
I guess, the 50s, 60s. He wrote the books in the 50s, and I think L. Ron Hubbard started wanting to make shit happen.
Yeah.
In like the 60s and stuff.
Yeah. Because like it's giving, Lisa Presley is giving Elvis Presley was a Scientologist,
Yeah, maybe he was. I don't know. But yeah, it's just, that's what's so fascinating about Scientology to me, is the reach they have simply because of the number of people that they have and the influence they have over the world. And I like David Miscavige, to me, just feels like a really evil, yucky guy.
Yeah.
I mean, the stuff about his wife not being seen since 2007 is mind-boggling to me.
Yeah. The people who are good at being cult leaders are scary.
Yeah. And I know that he grew up in Scientology, but I just don't feel like he actually believes in it.
Well, yeah. I mean,
I guess part of it too is I didn't mention, so there was like 7 Thetan levels when L. Ron Hubbard was alive, and after he died, people were like, what are we gonna do? There's no more Thetan levels, blah blah blah. So David Miscavige was like, oh, here's more Thetan levels, and it's just like bullshit that he came up with.
Yeah.
That he's saying L. Ron Hubbard came up with. So to me, that's like, maybe you don't really believe.
Yeah. I also feel like I do think that again, they're promising that you'll have a lot of money and be very influential and powerful.
Yeah.
If you believe in the cult.
Yeah.
So it's like, again, a lot of people probably don't believe it and are a part of it because they know that it'll give them money and power.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a tax-exempt pyramid scheme. But, so, that one kind of sucks. Let's move on to my final one, a fun one.
You did the cat one.
I did do that one. It just brought me joy, so I thought I would share that.
That's good.
Okay, so this is from 2016. It's an article from the Nashville Scene. It's called Apocalypse Meow: How a Cult That Believes Cats Are Divine Beings Ended Up in Tennessee. Unorthodox teachings, estranged families, and a cat rescue operation named Eva's Eden. I would like to say Eva's Eden denies being a cult. But I think most cults deny being a cult.
I also agree.
So, so there's this woman who, in some articles, she's the Reverend Cheryl Ruthven, and in some articles, she's pastor or preacher. We don't know. But in 2013, she left Washington State with some followers, and they were just looking for a place where they could live in peace and wait out the apocalypse, and I guess rescue as many cats as possible. It's all sounding fine. Um, those cats that they're rescuing, according to Ruthven's writings and interviews with former followers, are divine creatures that will carry 144,000 souls mentioned in the Book of Revelation. Enough with the Book of Revelation. You know what happened? Paul ate some mushrooms and saw God, and he wrote it down.
Paul.
The Apostle Paul had some LSD, and we need to let it go.
Paul, why'd you do that? Yeah, I do feel like, yeah.
Enough is enough. Enough is enough. It's so funny. So they run a nonprofit cat shelter, and it's like this really cool mobile home that has like a giant cat tree in it, and they just keep all these cats, and they try to find foster homes and homes for it. And they describe themselves as a peaceful group devoted to Mother Nature and living in harmony. But the controversy comes in because former followers say that Ruthven's ministry is a cult of personality devoted to its prophet, who they say claims to be a divine Magdalene, a reincarnated Messiah figure who will create a new Eden after the apocalypse. The former followers say they once worshipped Ruthven, following her every command, even leaving their families for her sake. They now run a Facebook page aimed at exposing what they call an abusive cult. Eva's Eden denies these claims. They say former members are a hate group founded by Ruthven's ex-husband, aimed at slandering their ministry. The nonprofit has responded to critics by denouncing them online, trading letters with legal threats, and then posting cute cat videos on YouTube. But in early August, Eva's Eden disappeared. 2 days after a reporter requested an interview with Ruthven or other leaders, Eva's Eden website went down. Its Facebook page and YouTube accounts vanished, and the group canceled a planned public cat adoption at a Kroger grocery store in nearby Spring Hill. Nicole Walker, Ruthven's daughter and manager of Eva's Eden, also filed a criminal complaint with the Maury County's Sheriff's Office against Rachel Gunderson, one of the group's critics, accusing her of harassment. So there's literally been nothing else about this since 2016. There's just been this blip of people being like, hey, this woman is wanting to be worshipped like she's Mother Mary. Okay? And then nothing. They have a Yelp page that has a review from like 2023. So maybe they're still taking care of cats.
They're just not social, I guess.
It's funny to me when stuff like this happens and there's no follow-up.
Yeah.
It's been 8 years.
Oh, well, I guess they're gone.
Yeah. What if they're not gone? You know?
What if she's still out there collecting cats?
It seems like she is.
Honestly, that part, like,
that's fine.
There's not much of this cult that I can be like, oh, that's wrong. Aside from the, like, potential, you know, I think I'm the Messiah.
Yeah.
Which she never said.
She never said that. Someone else said that she said that.
Yeah.
Maybe her ex-husband.
Possibly her ex-husband. It feels like, you know, I get why she deleted her Facebook.
Yeah, I would love a follow up on that story because I also want to say, like, I don't think a cult allegation comes out of nowhere. Like, if you want to slander and harass your ex, I don't think cult is the first place you go, right?
Yeah, but I mean, like, I think that probably the reason why that was the case is because she believes that cats are divine beings and are going to ascend
Yeah.
us after the
And
apocalypse.
she had a group of followers follow her from Washington.
I think that, you know, if a husband had an ex-wife that did believe those things, I could see why he would potentially say that
This
she
is
was
a
a
cult.
cult.
Yeah.
So, at the end of the day, we don't really know how that ended.
And that's fine. You know, enjoy the mystery.
I don't like mystery. I jump to the end of books.
Yeah, I do that too sometimes.
It stresses me out to not know what's going on.
I'll do that if I'm getting bored by a book. Because I'm like, what happened?
I don't do it if I get bored. I do it when I'm so invested.
Mm.
I do it when I'm really invested because then I'm like, I have to know what the end is going to look like. And I also do it with TV shows. If I'm really into a TV show and it's like a suspenseful TV show, I'll look at reviews of every episode.
Yeah, I will. If I really like something, I will, like a TV show or something, and I'm like, I am spending too much time on this. I'll just look up how it ends and then be like, okay. And
Yeah, sometimes that is what happens whenever I look it up, but most of the time I'm still interested in like watching the whole series.
yeah, I usually still end up watching it.
Yeah.
But so what do you think about my Colts? My Colts.
Yeah, yours and yours alone. I like them. I think that they're, you know, aside from the cat cult, they're terrible people. Well,
Yeah.
I do feel like your cults are giving much more like, you know, it's all sci-fi. It's all like
Yeah.
apocalypse.
Yeah.
You know, most of them probably do believe what they're talking about.
Yeah, I feel like the cults that commit suicide, group suicide, mass suicide, whatever, they believe, right?
I don't know. I mean, okay, question. The Jim Jones cult, Jonestown,
Mm-hmm.
did they know that they were drinking cyanide?
I don't think that everybody knew.
Okay.
I don't think everybody knew, and but I don't know for sure. That's not one that I looked into recently. I remember like listening to podcasts and watching documentaries and being very sad about it. So my feeling is that not all of them knew what was going on. It's hard to believe that.
I think there were
900
children there that
Yeah.
did drink the Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
So, it's very fucked up.
Yeah. And, you know, it's still sad even if they did know what they were doing. But there's another level of sad when it's like
They didn't.
they didn't.
Yeah. Because then it's not suicide. That's murder.
Right.
Which I would say is...
Also, cyanide is not a chill way to go out.
No. Nah.
Like, I feel like there's poisons that can just, like...
You just fall asleep.
Yeah. As far as I know, cyanide, you, like, throw up a lot.
Yeah.
And it's really painful, so...
Audrey and I decided to make this a 2-part episode, mostly because it's too long, but also because Audrey graduated college. Woo! And we forgot her graduation was on the day that we were going to record. So we need a little buffer space, but it is a really long episode. Tune in next week to hear Audrey talk about some of her favorite cults. And feel free to follow us on our social medias. We got an Instagram, we got a TikTok, we got a Threads, we got a Reddit, and we got an email. We are at Trauma and Triggers on everything except for Reddit. For some reason, we decided to do at Trauma and Triggers pods. Don't talk to me about it. I don't want to hear about it. Thank you so much for listening, and excited to see you in part 2.